service manager, is giving Mike an extension course on servicing drum brakes. Mike can handle ordinary brake work okay, but he's new on the job, so he wants to learn some of the fine points. Let's listen in.
Well, Mike, once in a while you get a brake job that needs more than the usual relining routine. Some of these jobs can be tough to diagnose, but in most cases, by careful checking, you can find the cause of the trouble and correct it. Take brake chatter, for example. This is basically a brake vibration that travels to other parts of the car. It's not dangerous, but the vibration and noise can be irritating. And to make things interesting, chatter can occur at either high or low speed. Chatter is usually caused by brake drum surface irregularities, especially in the front brakes. A drum surface may be wavy, oval, out of round, or spotted by overheating. I'll describe the effects of these conditions as we go along. In addition to brake drum condition, high-speed chatter can also be caused or made worse by a loose or bent wheel, poor wheel balance or bearing adjustment, soft tires or irregular tread wear, steering or suspension looseness, or improper adjustment.
In general, the best way to begin looking for the cause of brake chatter is with a road test. Ask the owner to ride along and point out the disturbing condition. Try to get all the information you can so you'll be starting on the right track.
Oh, hello, Tech. I agree, a road test should be the first step. You'll experience the condition firsthand, and that'll make it easier to decide whether you should concentrate on the brakes or plan on looking elsewhere for the cause. Before you take the car out, make sure the tire pressures are correct and that front wheel nuts are properly torqued. Also, raise the car so you can check for bent wheels, improper bearing adjustment, or irregular tire treads. Steering and suspension parts should be in good condition. To test for chatter, speed the car up above 60 on a smooth stretch of pavement. Then apply moderate brake pedal force as you would when slowing down for traffic or when entering a speed zone. If vibration begins as the brakes are first applied but lets up or disappears at lower speeds, the cause is probably a drum surface which is wavy, oval, or out of round. In some cars, you may also hear a rumbling sound along with the vibration, especially with heavier pedal force. Chatter, which comes in at any speed from high to as low as 20 miles an hour, is usually caused by heat-spotted drum surfaces. Other causes can be badly worn brake lining or new lining with improper heel and toe clearance. After you check the brakes, bring the car back up to the original test speed and let it coast down through the critical range without applying the brakes. Any vibration under these conditions comes from other parts of the car or from the pavement.
Okay, Bill, I'm sold on testing. But I don't understand the effects of those drum conditions.
Well, the irregularity can be a slight waviness in the friction surface of the brake drum. This is usually a new drum condition and is not the same as oval or out-of-round distortion. The surface waviness causes uneven friction, which produces the vibration we call chatter. You see, even though new drums are precisely machined, the friction surface can change slightly as the drums break in, especially if the brakes get extra heavy use during this period.
Over-tight or unevenly tightened wheel nuts can distort a drum and cause irregularities. So be careful with those impact tools and big wrenches. Sometimes you can cure or reduce brake chatter by retorquing the wheel nuts properly. Also check the wheel mounting stud area for thick paint accumulations or other high spots. The mounting surface of the wheel must be even, or the drum may become distorted when the wheel nuts are tightened.
Good points, Tech. It's best to tighten the wheel nuts evenly and in proper star pattern sequence with a torque wrench. First, you snug the nuts to about 30 foot-pounds, and then in the same star pattern sequence, tighten the nuts to 60 foot-pounds.
Right. Say, Bill, how does an out-of-round drum cause brake chatter?
It's another case of uneven friction, Mike. And right along with the chatter, you'll probably get another condition we call pedal pulsation, which incidentally is an important testing clue. Besides causing uneven friction, an oval out-of-round drum forces the brake shoes to move in and out as they're applied. This action causes hydraulic pressure pulsations, which can be felt at the brake pedal. Now, to wrap up the story on front brake drums, chatter which is caused by overheated areas or hard spots on the drum surface also results from uneven friction. Compared with other areas on the drum surface, friction is different at the hard spots, so you get chatter and noise.
Okay, Bill, it all makes sense now. And as a cure, I suppose you machine the drums?
Right. You'll have to clean up the waviness and make sure the drum surface is truly round. To avoid brake pulling later on, you'd better machine both drums, even if only one actually needs it. Incidentally, you can remove blue heat spots by sanding, but it's better to install a new drum when you find bright cord hard spots, because this condition can return after machining. With the new drum, we also reline both brakes and sand the opposite drum surface so braking will be even.
Always handle brake drums carefully, on or off the car. They're built to take full braking loads, but you can cause distortion if you bang them around, especially if you drop one.
A good point to keep in mind, Mike. And remember that you can minimize distortion if you machine a drum with its wheel attached and properly torqued. Follow the approved tightening sequence and leave the wheel nuts undisturbed after machining and during installation on the car.
When you machine a drum with the wheel on, it's a good idea to mark the wheel and a mounting stud. That way you can replace the wheel in the original position later on if it's removed.
Thank you, Tech. Now, Mike, if you use a drum lathe, the cutting tool should be sharp and set to cut smooth. We want a uniform surface with a dull finish, so be sure to break up any machining pattern with emery cloth or sandpaper. And regardless of whether you use a cutting tool or a grinding wheel, be careful that you don't overfeed. In a heavy cut, the tool can follow irregularities in the drum surface. With too much grinding feed, the stone only wears faster, and you can overheat the drum.
Never enlarge the total drum diameter more than 60 thousandths over the original new drum measurement, or you'll need a new drum. Just remove enough metal to clean up surface irregularities or any out-of-round condition. After machining, be sure to remove all cuttings or abrasive material from the drum, and keep it clean. Oil or grease from hands, wiping cloths, or compressed air can get on the lining and cause brake problems right now. Well, that's your cue to talk about lining, Bill.
Well, if chatter is caused by badly worn lining, the cure is obvious. But don't take chances on causing uneven braking by relining only one brake. Reline them in pairs, both fronts or both rears. Before installing the brake shoes, make sure the radius of the new lining is not too large. If there's not enough clearance at the ends of the lining, you could have another case of chatter on your hands. To check lining radius, hold the shoes in the drums with the lining against the drum surface. You should have at least 4/1000ths of an inch clearance at both ends of the lining, so it'll contact the drum in the middle area first. If you reline the fronts to correct chatter and our 11-inch brakes with non-ribbed drums, you can get better results with the new groove-type primary linings. But don't mix them up. Always install grooved linings in axle pairs. Always use groove-type primary linings for replacement in our brakes with ribbed front drums. Plain surface linings will change the brake characteristics and may cause chatter.
Bill, you've covered just about everything but steering and suspension. What's the story there?
Make sure all steering parts are in good condition and properly adjusted. Wheel alignment and bearing adjustment must be okay. Suspension bushings and ball joints must be in good condition. And the strut bushing nuts must be properly torqued.
And don't ever let me see anyone try to cure chatter by fooling around with a suspension design. You're only asking for trouble if you do. If a suspension change would stop chatter vibration, you can be sure they'd do it at the factory.
Okay, Tech. Now it's time to talk about premature lining wear. Overheating can also get into the act, and you may find evidence of both conditions. Most of the causes are the same in front and rear, with the exception of parking brake conditions. Premature lining wear can be caused by over-adjustment or improper adjustment, incomplete shoe return, lining contamination, faulty wheel cylinder operation, incorrect lining, or improper installation, by driver abuse, such as brake pedal riding. Did I skip any, Tech?
Nope, but we're about to skip out of the groove on this side of the record. You can fill us in on lining wear as soon as someone flips the record.